Hi, and welcome to Clarity Mastermind. So, Clarity Mastermind is all about clarity. In order to go to anywhere, we need to understand where we are first. We need to know street number, city, and a zip code. We're all located somewhere, and we know where a street number, city, and a zip code looks like. When it comes to life, we're not always sure what it looks like. And so, this mastermind is not about finding your personal clarity or not about doing energy work as I do in other groups. This Clarity Mastermind is all about me interviewing different experts at different areas and introduce that subject with the clarity in mind. So you guys know who I am, but people who might watch it on YouTube that might not know. So my name is Veronica Rosenfeld. I'm CEO of You Rise Movement. And when you clearly know who you are and where you're going, you rise to your greatness and you step to your destiny. So I help ambitious entrepreneurs and professionals with great breakthrough in your finances, in your life fulfillment and quality of your relationship through group coaching and private programs. So today we're going to talk about clarity and leadership. And I have the most amazing friend and the most amazing guest over. This is Silvia Rosca. She's in her late 20s, right? Right.
No. Officially in my 30s and proud.
She's in her early 30s. She's been very, very accomplished in her corporate career and hit the peak. And now she's a leadership coach and mindset coach. Her IQ officially is how much?
In the 150s.
150s, which equals her to be a genius. And she's the most humble human being. Like, she can think, she can do this. So even though she's a leadership coach, she helped me with marketing. And what she's done with marketing, it took me a year to replicate with marketing geniuses. So because she helped me as a friend, and I know that probably next time I'll come back to her because nobody can duplicate what she can do. And she said, I hate marketing, I just love you. So let's introduce Silvica. I love you. I love Silvica very much. We are friends and we work together. She's been one of my clients and she's really, really amazing. So we're going to talk about clarity and
leadership.
And leadership.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for having me on, Veronica. Yeah, you're right. I do dislike marketing and design work, but I am good at it.
That is it. And I know a lot of good people.
Yes. The one thing I want to say before we dive into clarity and leadership, well, it's linked to clarity and leadership as well. One of the things that leaders know how to do very well is they assess their own strengths and weaknesses. And a lot of times we don't realize what our strengths are. A lot of times our eyes are so muddled because our vision is so muddled because we're accustomed to it. You know, our areas of genius, they're just the areas that we're accustomed to. They come naturally to us and we don't think of them as our areas of genius because we're like, it comes easy. It should be easy for everyone, right? And having worked with Veronica, she really pushed me to acknowledge to myself, you know, what my areas of genius were and to not be so, I'd feel bad about, you know, saying, oh, I'm good at this. I didn't want to be like too braggadocious, right? And so she, working with Veronica, really helped me be able to kind of step more into that. No, this is who I am. This is my authority and this is what I'm good at. And I can own that space and I don't have to feel bad about, am I taking up somebody else's space? No, those are my gifts. Those are my callings and use them. So, and yes, and singing too. That's one of the things so there were a lot of things that Veronica has encouraged me. You know, me as a leader, being a very confident person in general, but encouraging me to be even more confident in myself. So I really appreciate that and the clarity I got around that. So for those of you guys who are working with her, I'm sure you're seeing the benefits. And for those of you guys who are considering it, you will see benefits as well. And so with that, we'll dive right into clarity. Most people, when they think clarity, they think life goals. They think, what are the goals I want to accomplish in life or on this project? And most people, you know, they think, oh, what do I want to accomplish? They set the goals, then they start working towards those goals. And in many cases, we hit speed bumps or something, right? Something stops. And I come from a from a community that works a lot in construction. So if you're going to be building and fixing up a home, you don't say, I mean, some people, you make the plans of what home you want to build, but you don't just start building without first looking at what's the current state of the house. Because sure, you want to have, 5 bathrooms, or you want to do an addition, but you have to look at, well, what's the current layout of the house? How do we add the goals to the house? Do we need to demolish? There you go. Do we need to demolish part of the, sorry, every now and then, I've been in the United States, you guys, for 27, 28 years now. And I came here as a child, but still there's certain words where they'll come in a different language and then I have to translate them. So
understood.
Yeah. And so sometimes you have to demolish parts of a house before building something. And that is one aspect of clarity that a lot of people miss when you're looking at your goals. First, do an assessment of, what are my current goals before I create any new goals? What are my current goals? What are my current goals, my current personal and my current professional goals? So, when it comes to, my personal financial goals, my personal relationship goals, my personal health goals, what are my, career or business goals, depending on, do you want to work for someone or do you want to build your own company? And then take a look at those, your current goals, and do an assessment. Are any of them competing with one another? Because if you want to, for example, let's say if it's someone who wants to become CEO or I'll use myself as an example. When I first created my goals, when I first entered the corporate workplace, I said, you know what? I'm going to become CFO or CEO. Why not? And then I realized that later on in life, I realized I also had a lifestyle goal of how I wanted to live my life, how much I wanted to spend time with family and friends. And my work-life balance goals did not match my goals of being CFO. If you want to be a CFO for a Fortune 100 or Fortune 500 company, you're going to have to sacrifice somewhere else you're going to be working anywhere between 70 to 90-hour weeks. It's just one of the normal things. And I realized, wait a second, my goals are contradicting each other. And in many cases, people have goals that contradict. And what happens when you have goals that contradict, you're going to either stop working on both of those or self-sabotage yourselves on either of them without being aware of it. And so be aware of, what are my goals and do any of them conflict? So take a look at, as you write down your goals, look at which ones self-conflict and which one do I want more than the other. So then you have to be willing to quit a goal. Same thing when you look at your goals, which of the goals are goals that you actually want and which are goals that you're supposed to want? And once again, another personal example, when I first entered the corporate workplace, I was a high achieving person. I graduated valedictorian and got a full ride scholarship, right? And so I had thought, okay, if I'm the smart girl and I'm very ambitious, then what I should want to do if I'm going to work in corporate America is I should want to be CEO or CFO. I should want this. Why not? I didn't actively say, I would love that life. I didn't think that through when I created my goals originally. I said, well, this is kind of like what you should be doing. When I went through and I realized, okay, I remember 6 years into my corporate career, I did great on my job. I was getting the promotions. I was on the succession plan, you name it. But 6 years into it, I realized I didn't like my job anymore. I love the people, but I didn't like the job. And the company was great. The company treated me great, but I didn't like the job. And so that's when I first went and, did this analysis, and I realized, oh, wow, that's not my life goal. Those aren't the goals. That wasn't a goal that I wanted. It's just something that I thought I was supposed to want. So assess your current goals first. Look at, personal, professional goals. Do you have any conflicting goals? And then also look at, do you have goals that you actually want, or do you have goals that you're supposed to have? Now, here comes the hardest part when it comes to clarity. Quit the goals that no longer serve you. Quitting is hard. Quitting is so hard. People think quitting is easy, but no, quitting is really hard. And especially if you're the kind of person who's on this call, it's a kind of person who's usually driven, someone who wants a better life, someone who has a vision or something that they want to accomplish in life. And those are the people that have the hardest time quitting goals, because those are the people that, whenever we hear the word quitting, we have a very negative stigma attached to it. No one wants to be a quitter. You don't give up. Or, you know, we have those quotes of success is just, you know, one step after, you know, you get knocked down and you pick yourself up once more than you get knocked down, something like that. So quitting has a very negative stigma attached to it. However, if you have a goal that no longer serves you, or if you have a goal that wasn't your goal to begin with, if you don't quit that goal, if you don't remove that goal, it's going to keep holding you back. There's a great book called Mastering the Art of Quitting that talks about this. And it talks about it, that goal takes up mental real estate in your mind. And it takes up emotional real estate in your mind. And your brain can only make X amount of decisions per day. It can only process X amount of information per day. And most people, even though they've quote unquote verbalized that they're going to quit a goal, or I'm not going to focus on this goal, the back of their mind still kind of has it in the back of their head. And so that takes up your energy and your focus from what you are working on. It's like a little energy sap in the background. And so learning to quit goals is really important. And what that requires is that first, it's your mind, you're thinking, free your mind from thinking, make that decision of, I want to quit this goal. I am going to quit this goal. I am quitting this goal. And then it's the emotional part, right? Manage the emotions that come with it. Whenever you switch goals, right? There's going to be an emotion. There's going to be, when I decided I'm going to leave the corporate world and launch my own company, I was excited for launching my own company. But my vision of the American dream when we moved to the States was go to school, get a good job. And so I had to realize that I had to change what my vision of my dream was, what my vision of the goal that I had thought all my life. I was quitting my job, and the emotional aspect caught up, and I had to realize, no, it's okay. So realize when you're quitting, when you're switching goals, you're going to have, even though you know the decision you're making is for your better, you're going to have, I guess, think of it like the mourning period, or, you know, like the 5 stages of grief that you go through, but like for your old dreams, because you're saying goodbye to those dreams. And so that effective, and then so that the emotional aspect, and then afterwards it's motivation and direction. What is your new goal? Start taking steps towards that new goal, and then also motivating yourself for that. And that helps you with your clarity as well. So that was that's Mastering the Art of Quitting is a book I highly recommend to everyone, by the way, because we struggle with our goals and with letting go of what we need to let go so much. And this one, it goes into like the psychology of how to be able to do that. And I think it's really important when it comes to clarity. So Veronica, I mean, I can keep on talking, but if you have any specific questions, or if you want to open to Q&A, go ahead, because I
want you to talk more about leadership.
Yes,
and
definitely.
You have a couple of nuggets that I would never think, that you're going through process of 5 stages of letting go of your old goals. I've never thought about it. So that's really powerful.
Thank you. So leadership, that's the first aspect. I love focusing on, so I've taught at Fortune 500 companies. I've trained probably over 1,000 employees now. And so one of the things, when I talk about all topics of leadership, the things that people will always come back and say, wow, this is good. This is the part of leadership that I wish people would have taught, are all aspects of self-leadership, learning how to lead yourself. Because when people first get into a leadership position, right? So when we think of leadership, most times we think of positional leadership, and that's just level 1 of leadership. That's, you got put into, your team leader, you got moved into a position or to a title or a role, and that role comes with some sort of authority. So that's positional leadership. And so most people, when they come into positional leadership, when they're at, team lead, shift lead, manager, they're taught how to manage people. They're taught how to manage tasks, but they're not taught first, how do I lead myself? How can I, when it comes to self-leadership, it's self-awareness. Are you aware of yourself? Are you aware of how your brain works? Are you aware of your emotional swings? Are you aware of how you react when you're under stress? Are you aware of what are your communication preferences? Are you aware of what are the ways that how do you feel you connect with people? There's another book that talks about the 5 love languages, that we interpret love in different ways, or we receive love. And that shows up in the workplace, and that shows up in your teams. It's the appreciation languages. Are you aware of what your appreciation language is? And so all that self-awareness, that shows up, because a lot of times what happens is, as leaders, when you are trying to motivate someone, or if you're feeling that someone is not following your leadership or following your guidance, there's a communication. Most of the times it's just a miscommunication, and based on our perceptions. And so being able to clear your perceptions, being able to clear your side of the glass, will help you be able to see the other person's side of the glass more clearer. And so self-awareness is such a key component of leadership. And then after that, it's self-direction and self-motivation. Direction, what direction do I want to go? What goals do I want to achieve? And self-motivate, and the self-direction would also be, what are the daily habits that I do? And then self-motivation is, things are going to get tough. How do you motivate yourself? Right? Understatement of the century. Things are going to get tough. And so what do you do? So that's self-motivation is, what do you do to keep yourself motivated? What are the self-care regimens you have set up into place to help yourself, to replenish yourself, your batteries, right? Your physical, emotional, and spiritual batteries, right? You need to replenish all of those. And so those are the aspects of leadership that people would come up and say, I wish someone had talked to me about that. I wish I would have learned that, wow, this is my communication style, or wow, this is my personality type. And now that I know my personality type, I realize, oh, my issue with my team members, it's not them. It's just I have a certain preference of how I like to interact. But now that I know that it's my preference, I know I can better understand what are their preferences and interact with them differently. And so leadership really is about taking responsibility of everything, taking responsibility for everything that happens in your life. Now, we didn't cause everything in our life to happen, right? Life happens to you. There's a certain amount of life that you can influence, right? You can influence life, and our thoughts and our actions shape what comes our way as well. But a lot of life, things have happened in your life that were by no fault your own. But we are responsible as adults for how do we react to life? What do you do with the life that you have now? And a leader is someone who takes full responsibility and full ownership of that. And that's the area of leadership I really like to focus on. Because if you want to be able to change something, that means you need to have the ability to act upon it. You need to have kind of a type of ownership for it in order to be able to change it. There is a Larry Gilman, I believe, he's talked about it. It was one thing when it comes to leadership and clarity. He linked it very well. People don't like being very clear in their communication, because if they are clear, then they are held responsible. And leaders are people who must take responsibility of everything. And for that requires, for you to be clear. For, here's the situation. I'm going to describe it exactly as it is. I'm going to look at myself and I'm going to assess myself exactly as it is. So how many of you, by the way, know what your personality type is? Or have you taken any type of personality test? Yes, no, maybe so. If you haven't, that's fine.
I did, but I'm trying to remember. I think it's a C or something like that.
Okay, the disc. You took the disc one then.
Yeah, because we were separated into 4 different groups. An author came in and, she separated all of us. There was people up in front of us. There was the C, and then there was the quiet people over to the left.
They're probably the eyes.
I think so. I'm trying to remember. But
no, it works. It works. There's
I was like a party group.
There you go. There are quite a lot of personality tests. I've taken a lot of them. And one of them that I think is, out of all of them that I've taken, I've gained insight and gained knowledge on each one. And what I like it, because as a leader, I like to be aware of myself. I like to know what are my strengths, but I also like to know where are my weaker tendencies. And I know the thing is you focus on your strengths and you maximize your strengths. But as a leader, I like to know, well, where are my weaker tendencies? Because what I've noticed is whenever I'm talking with someone, right? So as a leader, your people skills, vital. And so when I'm interacting with people and talking with people, if something that someone says, like, seems abrasive to me, or just, pushes me the wrong way, whatever the wording or the phrasing is, the first thing I do is I stop, and while they're talking, I start thinking about why. It probably has nothing to do with this person. What is it about me? Why did this tick me? Like, why did this tick me off? Or why did this stand out to me? And go through it, because I've noticed, because of my personality type, there's a personality type called the Big Five. And that one, of all the personality tests, that's the one that has the most data behind it. It has, I think, almost 40 years of psychometrics behind it. And so that one I like, because that one, there's more data to it. But that's on that one of the things that I realized is, when it comes to there's an agreeableness scale. And so this agreeableness scale says, basically, if you're on the disagreeable side, it's not that you're purposely rude to people, but you don't really care about people's opinions. Like, you just don't care. Like, this is my opinion, or this is the fact. I'm going to state it without regards to your feelings. If you're really high on the agreeable side, that means you sometimes will just agree with someone, even if they're wrong, just because you don't want to hurt their feelings. The two extremes. And so I realized I'm pretty high on the agreeableness scale. And so when I'm talking with people, sometimes people rub me the wrong way because they're lower on the agreeableness scales. And so when we look at how do we build teams, who do we bond more with people on our teams as a leader, you have to realize, oh, wait a second, are my preferences of how much I think people should be agreeable or shouldn't be agreeable, am I allowing that to impact how I interact with my team? Do I isolate members of my team because, oh, those people aren't as agreeable as me, and I like to hang out with agreeable people? And that's one of the things I noticed about myself. And so when it comes to leadership and taking responsibility for your team interactions, and when you look at teams, when you're a leader, when you look at the word leader and the word team, you don't always need to have positional power, as I talked earlier. Positional power of you're put as a leader in charge of a team. You can also there's the second level of leadership, which is permission. It's one thing to be in a position of authority, but to be a leader who has permission is when your team has bought into you. They respect you as a leader. Now, sometimes it's possible to be a permission leader without even being a positional leader. Think a lot in volunteer activities, or think of whenever a group of you and your friends get together and you guys need to plan something. Is there a default person you go to help plan? You guys have given kind of that person the leadership authority, the lead role in planning by permission, probably because they've proven themselves, and that's one of their skills that they have, right? So when you look at leader, you can be a leader of your life. You can be a leader among your friends. You can be a leader in volunteer activities that you do. If you are working on a team, say you're an individual contributor within a company, you're an individual contributor. The way I would view it is the people that you interact with, the different groups that you interact with, imagine that's your team. And if you are going to be a leader of that team, how would you act? Now, same thing if you are a business owner, your clients, your contractors, subcontractors, your network of people that you work with, or your network of partners, that's your team. And you are a leader, so you set the tone. How do you interact with that? How do you take ownership over each of the relationships that you have? And ownership doesn't mean like how do you take ownership of them, but it's how do you take responsibility for that, for at least your part of that relationship. And that's part of leadership altogether, all in that. So I wanted to clarify that, so that way when people think leadership, they don't think just of, oh, well, one day, or as a manager, or in my role as a manager. It's leadership is how you live your life, everything. It shows up in all aspects. So yeah. Anything else? I can continue going. Let me know if Veronica, if anything has struck and you want me to dive deeper into one specific topic.
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh man, there's I feel like there is an entire book written on taking ownership. It's written by Jocko Willink and Mies Babin. Jocko Willink. He was the team leader of a U.S. Navy SEAL team during the war in Iraq at the Battle of Ramadi. His team helped was tasked with the responsibility to take back the city of Ramadi from the ISIS control. And so he was the leader of that team, and he talks about how so you're familiar with him, yeah. So, but he talks about how, yeah.
I was in the military at around that time, yeah. So, but he's, you know, he's kind of a legend.
he is. He is. Thank you for your service.
I didn't do anything.
Oh man, but yeah, you know, he is a legend. He had with his team, they also had to train, you know, so they had, you know, the Navy SEAL team, then they also had the, you know, the regular forces. And when you think about the regular armed forces, not everyone who goes into the military goes to be a career military person. Some of them go there just for a given time, and then they have other goals in life that they want to do. And so he's dealing with, you know, he's leading his team, he's leading a team of other areas of the military, all people with different goals. Some of them, their goals literally is get back home alive, which is a legitimately tough goal when you're in war. And then in active duty, especially. And then he was also tasked, his team was tasked with the responsibility to train the Iraqi soldiers, and the Iraqi soldiers fought with them as well. Now, think about this. Some of the Iraqi soldiers had no previous experience. They were learning the basics of, you know, sharpshooting basics, you know, gun basics. So it was from no experience to some experience. It was all over the place. And then also, what would happen sometimes when they were fighting, when they'd go into battle, he would have some of his men keep eyes on some of the Iraqi soldiers, because sometimes what the Iraqi soldiers would do was turn on them. Yeah. So imagine being in that kind of a scenario where you're tasked to win back a city, and you're fighting with people who might end up being your enemies. Mm-hmm. And his claim, even in that situation, was take ownership. How can you take ownership? How can you take responsibility for that? His claim was still, no, you take responsibility. If you know that that is something that might happen, what can you do to actively ensure that it doesn't happen? You know, on motivating, on noticing the signs before putting anyone into battle, by having someone in the back, you know, some of your men. That's like leadership is an aspect of that. So as a leader, do you think strategically that far ahead of taking responsibility for something? For this, for example, one of my clients manages money for people. And so it's not a financial manager in that sense, but there's, you know, through some other stuff. And this person, so my client had an account that he was managing and was trying a different strategy and was performing poorly. And, you know, so he had a couple of weeks of bad performance. And then, you know, just like, oh, you know, it's okay. I know what I'm going to do, but he did not communicate. And so he had a strategy in place of what he was going to do to bounce back, but he did not communicate this to the person whose money he was managing. And I remember when I was having a conversation with this person, I said, look, you know, because his thing was like, well, this person told me I have from this time frame to this time frame to give him this kind of a return, and I'm on track, I have time, etc. But I said, no, part of leadership, of total responsibility and total ownership of yourself and of the relationships that you have with your team, your clients, is you clarify, you at every single step, you let them know, hey, if you hop in, you'll notice this is what happened, this is what I tried, it didn't work, but I'm going to do this, you know, letting you know that I'm aware that I made a mess up there, but I'm going to get it back to somewhere else. And so think about that when it comes to leadership. Which of your relationships do you need to take more ownership of? It might be personal, it might be professional, whatever it is. Which of your relationships do you need to take more ownership and responsibility for, perhaps to get clarity in those relationships? And here's the one thing about when it comes to taking responsibility in one area of your life. A lot of times there's something going wrong in one area of your life, and it's impacting all the other areas of your life, and you're just not aware of it. And as soon as you set this right, it will set everything else right as well. So take, you know, when you're looking, instead of just assessing your goals, assess which one of my relationships maybe do I need to take more responsibility and more ownership of, and be more proactive in my communication in that relationship. In what areas of my life as a leader do I have a weakness, or I made a mistake? And do I need to admit to my mistake and claim responsibility for the impact my mistake had on others? And that's also part of leadership, and that's an important part of leadership, of being able to claim, oh, I made the mistake here, and it had this impact on you, and I'm sorry. That's an essential part of trust building. In leadership, trust, your word, the integrity of your word is key, and it is vital. And so when you're looking at responsibility, ownership, self-leadership, be a proactive leader even in the small things in life, because the way you do the small things impacts the way you do the big things. And I have noticed in myself as well, when I have been proactive and taken ownership of my personal relationships, that has also rolled over into my professional relationships and the way I show up. And sometimes what I've done is what I'll do, like, role play in my head, is if I have an issue that I have with a friend, in my head I'll think, if this were a client or if this was a business partner, how would I approach this? Because let's be honest, sometimes we approach our business partners or our colleagues or our professional relationships with more diplomacy and civility than we do our personal relationships. We kind of just lash it out at our, right?
Yeah.
So it's sometimes as a, if this is the idea of a leader that I want to be, if this is how I want to, when I die in my obituary, this is how I want people to remember me by,
Ooh.
then how am I showing that up like that in my personal relationship now? And if I'm not, what do I need to do to fix that? And it's tough. It's tough. It's, I've had, in one particular case, I remember that it's not that I did anything wrong, but I had let a relationship kind of cool off, and the other person could sense it, and they were being nice enough to kind of like not push, but they were feeling hurt. And my default was like, I'm just going to ignore it. I don't want to bring it up. I don't want to talk about it. Let's just leave it where it is. I said, no, that's out of integrity with who I am. And that's going to show up in other areas. It's going to show somewhere else up, because that's, the energy, the vibration, the frequency, the relationship I have there is going to start mirroring itself elsewhere. And so needed to address it with that person, needed to address my shortcoming. And sometimes, look here, sometimes you're busy, right? Let's say it's a relationship that you no longer have time for. Sometimes taking ownership just simply means talking to that person, say, hey, look, I value your friendship, but right now I don't have the time, or maybe I don't have the finances to hang out with you the way we did before. I'm still your friend, but we're going to need to change the way we interact. That could be it, right? It doesn't mean you have to continue having the same type of relationship with that person you've had all along, but it's just having the awareness of knowing, what do I want out of this relationship? The awareness of knowing what can I do in the future, and the willingness and the proactiveness to address it and to speak to people about that. So,
is that
right.
Is that an Eastern European thing, just to completely ignore? my wife's from Russia, and it's just, it's one of these things I've noticed.
I don't know. I don't know. It's maybe it's a female thing. I don't know.
No,
Well, it's an agreeableness thing. It's people who tend to be more agreeable want to avoid conflict. And if you look at the psychometrics, women tend to rank in general. Women tend to rank higher on agreeableness than men. So
makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we're going towards the questionnaire for you. So
perfect.
I wanted to add to that, being from Russia, or Ukraine, like understanding and having a lot of Russian girlfriends and a lot of Russian male friends. Eastern European certain cultures, Russia is one of them, Ukraine, Russia is more, we are not trained how to deal with our emotions. And so it's not that she's nice or not nice, she's just not trained how to deal with a lot of emotions that she has.
Okay.
And so that's where it comes from.
She's happy until she's not. So
Well, it's because she's not trained as a child how to deal with her emotions.
That's true. Yeah. Well, she was taken away by the state and put into an orphanage. So
Here you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
her parents were drunks. Dad died. I wish she was sleeping with the baby, but yeah, her dad died from heart problems. He was in the military, and then her mom died of cirrhosis of the liver years later. She's drunk. And when she went, I think it's funny because when we look at the records that she has, she was fluent in swear words, which I thought was hilarious, and she was always very dirty. So when they got to the orphanage, thank God, she got adopted by some people here in America, but they were also terribly abusive. They were like religious zealots. I'm Christian, but these people think they're the right type of Christian. I don't know. And so they're abusive to her. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with all
trauma
that.
does that to people. So from my perspective, trauma does it to people. So we are on YouTube and we are going to be recorded. So you guys share whatever you want, but it's going to be publicly recorded. I'm just giving you FYI.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You guys all know that. And so there's going to be no disclaimer at the end. I work with a lot of people who had some sort of trauma, and if you as a child can process trauma, you can process certain emotions, and that's why she has only two modes where she just goes exploding, or she just keeps it in herself because she doesn't know the other vehicles of communicating. So
yeah, I mean that's what it is.
Yeah.
But in her case, it would be a trauma. It has nothing to do with Eastern Europe.
Well,
But yes, we tend to be less emotional. That's true.
We
process our feelings very different than people who grew up here. I know it for a fact because I work with that all day long.
I don't know. My grandmother from Vilnius, she's kind of, she's not the best at expressing, care and compassion, but that's all right.
Well, that's why you are the other half.
That's it. I believe in her dreams.
Do you have any other questions for Silvica?
Oh my gosh, I've got so many. Hold on. I've been
So
writing these down.
let's see if other people have questions and we come back to you. So I wanted to, for a second, kind of acknowledge who is on the call. And it's kind of, I love the international group that we have because we have Danka from Canada, we have Raul from India, and we have Rachel from Las Vegas, and we have Jeremiah. Where you are from what part of America you are?
Oh, I live in Orange Beach, Alabama, but I'm from northern Minnesota.
From Alabama. So we have it all over. I love it.
Yay.
It's only because of Zoom and Facebook you could talk to all of those at the same time. I know Jeremiah has a lot of questions. We're gonna go to his questions. Before that, as anybody has questions for Silvica, Zdanka?
Yep.
You probably speak the same language with her. Zdanka, do you have any questions? Rachel, do you have questions? Raul, I know you have questions. You always do.
Yes.
Go ahead, Raul.
So my question is, like you have described about the Russian people. So I'm speaking with a lot of Russian people, like from almost 5 years, and I was in relationship for 4 years, and they are very emotional. So you cannot let them go, and if you wanted to escape from any relation, you cannot go. Even it took me 2 years. It took me 2 years to escape from my relation. So how to handle that situation?
How to handle
This type of situation?
Okay.
Like you're about to ruin your life with the person, but still you have to manage it.
I would say that the wisest thing is before you enter into a relationship, get to know the person. Get to know, notice things like that on a date, when you're going on dates, go on dates, on different types of dates, see how do people react when under stress. if the waiter brings them the wrong order, how do they react? There's just these little things. Get to know people as people. Don't get so caught up when at the beginning of relationships in, you know, it's nice to get caught up in the, oh my gosh, he looks, you know, he's gorgeous or she's beautiful, or, you know, you name it, in
Yeah.
all of those niceties, but really seek to get to know them as people. Can you have a conversation? Do you guys have similar interests? Focus on that first, and that emotional intelligence aspect of any relationship is critical, because that is going to it's easy. Relationships are easy when things are easy, but how do people fight in relationships? Some people fight dirty. Some people
Yeah.
fight emotionally on a, you know, like very manipulative way. So get to know people, get to know that beforehand. And then if you're already in that kind of relationship, and if it's just you two involved, there are no, you know, you're not married, there's no kids, right? So always there's a lot of different things to consider. There's always at a point in time when you have to realize, yes, I'm taking ownership, or I'm taking responsibility of my relationship. And sometimes taking responsibility means I am quitting, I am leaving. And that is what is best emotionally, the best thing for both of us. And being able to leave, to dissociate, you know, don't converse with, if it's in some cases, if it gets to that point, you'll have to not converse with someone. And making sure you're not leaving yourself open up for any emotional blackmail from that perspective. So
Yeah, that's kind of a trap I was always in. When I thought that I wanted to escape from this, and I was brutally tortured, like you did this, you did this. So that's kind of things I was facing, but still I managed to escape from that.
yeah, that's good. And one more thing I would add, you are not responsible for the other person getting closure.
Yeah,
Yeah, people get
but
closure
now,
on their own. Yeah, I'm
but
sorry, say that again.
I'm very happy with the escape of that kind of relationship, because now I'm feeling free. So now I can talk with anyone, but I didn't get too much caught because I have a business, so I don't want to ruin my business right now,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm at that stage where people has stated just because after they are coming out from the universities and they are looking for a business, and I'm already in that stage that I have a very good business right now.
Awesome. Well,
I
props
want
to
to
you,
add,
and best of luck going forward.
Yeah, thank you.
I wanted to add to that, Raul, if it's okay with you.
Yeah,
We usually end up being in a relationship with our mom or our dad. And so when you're in a relationship, you kind of can face what are the things from your childhood that you're repeating and you need to heal. And the other piece of that is, it's usually when you get something like that, you ask yourself the lesson of it, so it's not going to repeat itself. Because yes, you escaped this time, but then next time it's going to be prettier, or next time it's going to show up in your business, or next time it should be going to be your major client, your boss, whatever that is. So my suggestion to you, just kind of start talking to somebody who understands that, or some like me, or somebody who can help you kind of to point like where in your past you had something like that that triggered or showed it.
yeah.
Because
One more thing I wanted to add. One more thing I want to add. After this, like I didn't have a person whom I can talk with about this, and even I don't have any kind of relation, even in business, whom I can discuss. Like I'm facing this, and it was very difficult for me to escape from this. But after that, yes, I did manage. Like I have read so many books uh, from internet, reading articles, so many things, and then I thought that now I'm doing right.
good.
Cool.
Anyone else has a question? Rachel, Zdanka, do you guys have any questions?
And yeah, that's the part when I met. I just added Facebook on Veronica, and she was doing a Facebook live, and she's still doing, and I'm following her every day.
Thank you.
Even I,
You can follow Silvica. Silvica is there too, and so is
yeah,
Jeremiah. And all of them
yeah,
have quite
yes,
interesting things to say.
yes. Now I'm following everyone, like who is inspiring me, who is giving me a courage to do something, and it's good going. So I don't have to worry about it. My previous past, I'm already uh, out from it.
Hi, this is Raquel.
Hi, Raquel. Sorry, I call you Rachel. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I get that a lot. You know what? Sometimes, like I find, well, I found it interesting is when she was talking about the pleasing, a pleaser. I don't necessarily consider myself a pleaser. I just consider like, and I guess maybe when she talks about it, I could possibly say that because when there's conflict, I just actually retreat and I go find somebody new. There's 7.5 billion people in the world. I'm like, we're not a match. Next. And I get frustrated when I'm actually either coaching somebody or they come to me for help and they get in this I'm a victim mode and everything is somebody else's fault. And I want to be able to help somebody deal with it, but they actually don't seem like they're ready to deal with it. So how do you deal with that?
So if they've come to you asking for help, then that means that at some level they do want to deal with it, or at least there's something there. To me, whenever what I have done, one of the persons I worked with, I think you might be familiar with the quote of someone said, well, you know, if you keep having this, you know, running into the same problem over and over again, look in the mirror, perhaps you're the problem. And so that's one of the things. And so that's one of the things there was a certain someone I was working with that was repeatedly running into the same issues in the professional career with people where, you know, this person, you know, told me that each time, you know, I'm being nice to people and people are pushing me away. And so I said, well, okay, well, if everyone is doing this, you're the common denominator. Is it possible that it's you? And asking the question, posing the question, the way our brain works, if someone tells you a statement, and I know this from a theoretical perspective, and also from, I observe myself when I'm being coached. I play back conversations in my head because I'm very analytical. And so when Veronica and I would have our sessions afterwards, I'd play back the sessions and I'd push back on Veronica. Veronica would say something like, no, I don't think so. You know, or just something like that. And then I would go back and I'd play back and be like, oh, you know what, maybe it is me. But so if someone tells you a statement, or if you give someone a statement, their brain will want to find ways of saying no, or find, do I agree or do I not agree? If you pose, and especially in our defenses, especially when it comes to taking responsibility for ourselves and for mistakes in our lives, we don't like being wrong. None of us like being wrong. And so if someone comes with a statement saying, oh, well, maybe it was you, it's like, maybe not. You know, our defenses go up. Where if you pose it as a question, that is something then that's left for them to discover. And then they can come up with that, like, oh, you know what, it was me. So then they feel more in ownership or in control of the change that is happening or of the decision that is made. So that's one of the things I'd recommend. And if it's a client who's coming to you and they're repeatedly, I guess, you know, you're repeatedly headbutting, at one point in time, you just say, look, you came to me because you needed help. And as a professional, this is the help I'm giving you. Take it or leave it. Kind of like that, because then you might be doing them a disservice, you know, unless that's what they need. Some people, sometimes they just need someone to hit a critical mass of explaining the same problem and all of a sudden be like, oh, wait a second, I see the pattern, I get it, I see it in myself. So it's a really up to you and the context of the situation, because each situation is different. Does that help?
It helps a little bit because I have I've done personality tests, and I'm like, okay, if you say black, they say white. If you say yes, they say no. If you say something, they say, I know that. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So it's interesting because I consider it a challenge. But at the very same time frustrating because they just are in a midst of blaming everybody, and they actually don't see it. And I've gone to the place where I have asked them questions like, well, what if you tried it this way? No, I'm not doing that. And then what really comes into play is sometimes I think it's their ego, because you do always want to be right. And so it leads me to the challenge. It's like, okay, well, I've even said, well, they could be right, or they could be rich, or they could be right, or they could be happy. And I've asked them, like, what if you did it this way? Or what if you happen to forgive a certain individual? I'm not forgiving them. And I'm like, oh, okay.
That's, and you know what, that's one of the things. If you look at Tony Robbins, when he life coaches people, sometimes he'll come with that soft approach, and other times he'll just come with a very abrasive, with like, it's a basic, like a slam in their face, not physical, right?
Right. Throw water in their face. He's done. I've like, because I listen to a lot of his stuff. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a matter of sometimes some people, maybe you just need to be more. You need to be less agreeable with. So you need to be more abrasive with them, and and then once again, if in terms of professional clients, if this is clients, you also, there's two more things on that. You can't say no to clients, and by saying no to a certain type of client, maybe that is what's going to open the door for different types of clients to come in as well.
Question answered.
I want to add to that, if that's okay, Raquel.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So when it comes to those things, and Silvica pointed me out, because I have a lot of that with my clients, where being a visionary, I can see things that people don't see. And I joke that I know in 15 minutes what they need, and it takes them 3 months to accept it. So there is few things to it. Just because you see what needs to be done, certain person, if it's a coaching, it takes them a while to figure it out. And please, what I'm gonna say right now, don't take it personally, but men, it usually takes longer than women, because they can't emotionally process things. We happen to have much more emotionally available men on the session right now, but it's exception of the rule. So the more successful they are, the more they are like this. I've done it. I've done my quote. I've seen it. I even coach former superstars of Tony Robbins and stuff. So I've seen that. The more successful they are, the more are they like this. So I do something similar to what Silvica says. I said to you, what I'm going to say right now, you might not feel comfortable, but could you please consider, is there is possible there is part of you that has the same problem? Because I believe, for me, anything that shows up at least 3 times, it's my God's way of saying, well, time to fix it. And so each of us is a mirror of each other. And so when something shows up 3 times in my life, and coaching and whatever that is, I do 3 things. I hire somebody or figure out myself what is there, because sometimes we're our own blind spot and I need another pair of eyes. And then after that, I do 2 things. First, I asked God, I said, well, what can we do so that will be gone forever? So what am I supposed to be learning that is going to be gone forever? And it's a whole different thing how I do that. And then I forgive. So I do Ho'oponopono reconciliation prayer. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. I'm not going to go in details now, but it's a prayer of forgiveness. And if you guys won't ask me in DM, I'll tell you more. And those combination of those things allows you energetically, and then if you are my client, I would energetically remove whatever those thoughts and beliefs are in you that irritates you. And once we remove the resistance and the frequency, that will not be attracted to you anymore. Like, it will not show up around you anymore. Like there is certain people who just not show up in my circle. It's like they would just not able to make on a session or a video conference or whatever. They just won't, because their frequency will not allow that. So if that helps, Raquel?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Do you guys have a last question, or we are completing? Because Silvica will probably go and do other things.
Hold on. Let's let Jeremiah have a question as well.
Okay.
You kind of answered my question. It's mostly just about clients. Now, I'm actually transitioning from one business, which is a corrections officer, which I'd really just done to pay the bills, into being the author of Christian fantasy series. And clients, like selling my idea to people, that, the whole process to me is foreign, because growing up, I was a farmer, so we had something that people needed, which was food. And then you try to skate around the bank as much as you can to make a profit that year. But this, I'm selling an idea, for the youth groups of America, for the youth groups of the world, for a Christ-centered book. And, to me, it's a necessity, but, to a lot of people, it's not. So just trying to sell to a client, very, very different for me. And you seem to be very good at selling to clients. So would you have any tips as far as that goes?
Oh, be prepared to hear a lot of no's. Tip number one.
Let me tell you. Another thing
You
too,
have.
as far as like the whole relationship thing goes, I was raised on a farm, so all of us were married off by 11. So when I was 21 in the military, and I met Vera, she was working at a theater, and there was something about her accent. I was just like, we're going to be married for the rest of our life. So I met her the next day. We went on a date. 2 weeks later, we got engaged. 9 months later, we got married, and we've been married for 11 years. And every day, I love her more. I don't know what it is. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. She loves me more too. And we've got 3 kids. One of them's adopted. That's a whole other story. It's very interesting. But anyway, so that when you guys were like, learn about him first, I was like, I had no idea. I was just like very humble and like, what do you want? What do you want from this? What do you want from that? But she is, just from what she's been through, she's like so sweet and nice, and like tries to do whatever I want, and I don't know. So it was very easy, actually. We argued a lot in the first 2 years, mostly just about bed position, because like she'd take all of it, and I.
Hold on. Are you sure you want this on YouTube?
Oh yeah, this is fine. Okay, so no, she would take all of it, and then sometimes I remember one time she like turned completely upside down, and during the process she knocked me out of the bed, and I looked up and I'm like, whatever, someone slept on the couch, and she comes out the next morning, she's like, why are you sleeping on the couch? I was like, did you see how you were sleeping last night? She said no, and I was like, you were upside down.
So what you're saying is you didn't get a lot of no's from her, so but no's with your book, that is you're getting, and that's I mean, J.K. Rowling, look at her, she the one thing too that I would mention though for books, realize the money for some people, like for J.K. Rowling, because Harry Potter became such a big hit, she does get money from the books, but the money doesn't come necessarily, most of it just from the books. It comes from the licensing. So when you look at your books, do you think in terms of, would there be any figurines or any toys being made out of this?
Man,
what age, so. Right? So but pray about that, like write the, like, hey, write that down. This is what I want, or God, this book, this is how I want it to be used. These toys, I'd like these type of toys. Identify what it is exactly that you want. Perhaps will board games be created from it?
Oh my goodness, I was just thinking board games earlier. Yes, so I was looking up how to make one on Fiverr. But anyway,
so all of that. I mean, when it's time for you to make a board game, let me know. I can connect you with someone who I know who has manufactured a board game, and I can connect you with them to see what their who they went through, how they went through, etc.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, so Veronica has our contact information. You can reach out to her. So think in terms of all those things, and then just, maybe if you want to be published through a regular publisher, you reach out to the publishers. If you want to self-publish, all of that.
I'm publishing through Patty's publishing company, New Clarity.
I know what it is.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, okay. So she's.
I happen to know a lot of people.
Yeah, you know Patty. So I'm doing it through her publishing company.
There you go, and it's just it's the marketing. It's reaching out. Part of it, what I would recommend is reach out to. It looks like you're specifically, your demographics are the youth, right?
Oh, yes,
how
ma'am.
many? Yeah, you can reach out to churches on Facebook, on their websites, and it really, what it is just be willing to sit down and write emails or write letters, and saying, hey, look, here is I have a book that's coming out. I think great book, Christian principles, I think you would approve it. I'd love to get into the hands of as many, youth as possible, perhaps offer a free chapter. I mean, for a lot of youth leaders before, or church or pastors, before they would recommend a book, they'd want to read it, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But imagine, it's just a matter of doing that work, reaching out church to church, because all it would take is to have just, who knows whose hands it'll get to. And it might be a mega church pastor, or it might be someone who's part of a small church, but is part of a specific type, affiliation or association, and you just never know then how the word will spread.
You mean a small church like Joel Osteen's? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. A small church like that, small church.
I love his books.
So you just never know. You never know how it will. But I'd say because you know exactly who your market is, and it is so easy to get it. It's not so easy. It is easy. It's time intensive, but it is free as well.
Absolutely.
All it takes your time is going to the different church websites, reaching out to them. Most church even identify who their youth pastor is, the emails that you can contact them at. And it's a numbers game of just reaching out to them, giving them a brief description of your book, and, saying you want to talk with that. I know I used to be a youth leader. And so as a youth leader, one of the things I would.
Really?
Yes, I did.
I was getting something. I didn't know what it was.
Well, Silvica is very religious, just like you, Jeremiah. So you guys
have. Sweet.
I'm very firmly rooted in my faith.
I was supposed to be raised Jewish, but we ended up going Catholic and then Christian.
Yeah. So I used to be a youth leader, worship team leader, and everything.
Oh,
so,
that's where the singing comes from.
That's where the singing comes from. So yeah.
But
so that's what I
you look so young. How did you do all this?
I do. Eastern European. I look young. I look a decade younger.
No, she's just a genius. And I wanted to add.
I love it. But it's true. It is.
To add something to you.
150 IQ.
Yeah. So I have a child like that at home. So I know it's very overwhelming for parents, unless you have the same IQ. And I don't have EQ, but I don't have IQ. I mean, not to that level. So I like to employ people of that level IQ, as I do very well.
Use your kids.
So what I want to say to you, Jeremiah, you said something that you feel like some people might not see the value in what you do, but if you understand that the value of your book is as important as a produce that happened on your farm, if you really own that, then sooner or later you're gonna get what you want. Because people at the end, they buy you. They don't buy what you do, they buy you. You met Silvica about an hour ago. You didn't know who she is, but you bought her. And she would sell you something right now. You would say, yeah, where do I sign?
Well, yeah, because she's the best.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, how do you turn down the best? You don't.
Well, I know a lot of amazing people, and I figure out how can I leverage it. So I figure out to leverage it this way. And many of them work with me. So I'm like, great. So, it's my marketing guy who been last week. He said, why don't you do it? And I'll be your first guest. I'm like, okay. And then I called Silvica. She's like, okay, I'll be your second. So what I'm trying to say, you need to own your own vision, and you need to understand, and I can help you with energetical part of it, where you need to own, and if you undeniably own what you are, then everything else happens, because you're a prayer man, and if you believe in yourself, God's gonna give it to you, but He's gonna test you and test you and test you. And what I say, that your vision, the best part about it, is given to you. So you are a leader of your vision, as we talked today. You are CEO of your destiny. The worst part about it, your vision is given to you. It's not given to your wife, to your child, to your mother, to your spouse, to your friends or society. It's given to you.
Yeah.
And your vision might look very awkward to everybody else. And I'm going to demonstrate something. I'm demonstrated on several Facebook Lives. So one day, my son used to eat exactly where I'm sitting today. One day he came, and Silvica, I think, even been part of that scene. He came and he saw this. You guys see this? Yeah, you see this.
Boxes?
4 boxes,
With
right?
the candle on top?
Yeah, 4 boxes and candle on top. It used to be another candle saying, believe in yourself.
Oh, that's awesome.
This one actually has a light, like double. It's 2nd generation. And I said, what is that? You are awesome, believe in your dreams. Exactly. I had something like that before. Then it got broke. And yeah, so I have, this one is a light. It's actually a light, so you can turn it as a light. So that's why I like it. It's like night light. And in my bedroom is very useful. So it's like I have double thing. But the point of that is out of a point. The point is that when my son came to me, he's like, Mom, what is that? I said, that's my business. I mean, what normal person understands, what do you mean that's your business? 3 boxes and a candle. Well, because I put my cell phone on top of the 3 boxes, and then I can coach whoever I want. In 2012, the man that I've lived for many years, when I said, well, I want to have a business on my cell phone, he said, well, maybe we have to separate because it's nonsense. And the guy had NYU degree with computers and stuff, and was having his first business in computers at the age of 15. So like, you would think he knows something, and I've listened to him. I said, yeah, of course, but I think I have a dream. And he said, yes, 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 and go back to accounting. And as a good wife, I did for a while, but I still had a dream. So the point of that is, your vision is given to you. And if you completely own your vision, people gonna start buying you. In 2014, there's so many people, every family member in my family, and we speak 3 languages. So in 3 different languages, I've been told that my voodoo, that's what they call my business, my voodoo will never make me money. Not every family member has to be encouraging. And I always joke about it. I say, well, the family members always right, because my voodoo will never make me as much money as accountant. It will double, triple, and quadruple. It's just, you take their vision and you swap it to understand what they say. So the point of that, it's always going to be a lot of doubters. And I probably had them more than most people. But then it's going to be people who are going to believe in you. And the most importantly, you have to believe in yourself. I had this woman who bought and sold 600 businesses. At 3 o'clock in the morning, I drove her to her hotel. And I asked, and she said, how would you like my advice? I said, well, of course. She said, well, my advice that your energy work, the people are not ready for it. Masses are not ready for it. So get yourself a job. And I'm like, dear God, really? I drove here for that. But I would hear God's voice saying, well, it's a step stool. So I told her, you know, one day it will be very successful. We come back to that conversation. We're meeting 5 months later and nothing changed. My business is not getting better. So I kind of don't want to even look at her eyes, because she kind of was right. And well, she bought and sold 600 businesses, she knows. But she comes and she hugs me and she want to have a drink with me, and I don't drink. And so we have a conversation. She asked me about my business about 3 times. And I'm kind of like, I don't want to tell her about my business. But I want her to be coached by her. And she's like, I asked you 3 times. I said, well, you probably don't remember what you said to me last time. So this time she sat down with me, and she thinks seriously to give me a couple of her clients to try it on them. So did she change? No, but is my firm belief changed? I was standing still with my firm belief.
Yes.
And because I so much believed in myself, and I've been growing following of amazing people who listen to me, that's what changed. So the reason I share it, I'm not here to share like I'm amazing. I'm here to share with you that
You are amazing.
thank you. But I'm here to share with you that you're the one who water your dream. And the last piece that I want to share is, I'll actually even bring you something. I'll share. So each of our businesses it's like bamboo. And what we forget, that it takes 2 years for bamboo to grow.
Oh yeah.
So for first 2 years, there is nothing in the soil. Nothing in the soil, and you have to water. So your business is the same way. There is nothing in the soil, and you water it. You water it by believing in it, by taking actions, by doing it. I mean, I had 2 years where I didn't know, I wasn't a coach, I wasn't a healer. I lost my healing abilities, and I believed in it. Like, people thought I'm insane. And I never forget, I looked at my accountant manager and I said, well, one day this filing girl of yours is gonna be on TV, makes $200 an hour. Mm-hmm. In some cases, I make more than that now. And he looked at me and he smiled. The first thing he asked me 2 years later, he's like, are you making those money? It's because it sounded ridiculous for him. He was a corporate guy. But if you water, and you do what you believe, one day, voila, bamboo. And that's exactly how life is. So it's all depends on you.
Yeah. And I would just like to add, there is a big market and a big thirst, especially in the Christian community, for young adult books.
Oh yes, absolutely. I think it's 92 million as of 2014, as far as like how much is going into Christian fiction. Yeah. But you know, the thing is that growing up, you know, I'd read Lord of the Rings, Narnia, almost everything by Terry Brooks, and you know, I know why C.S. Lewis did it. I know why he made Aslan, you know, like a type and shadow of Jesus. But for me, I was like, go 100%. So my book is about a youth group that is all going through different challenges in their life, and it's actually based off of a real youth group that I worked with. I was also a youth leader here at the Christian Life Church here in Orange Beach, Alabama. And, you know, they all ask God for various different reasons to be tested. And so he sends them to a world called the in-between, because everyone that goes there is in between in their walk with God. And they have the choice to either save an angel from a demon king or just to exist and die. And, you know, these 7 kids do that. And when they come back, they have to deal with something even scarier, and that is middle school. So, you know, and it was an interesting concept, because I was working with these kids and they were one way at church and they were a different way at school. You know, it's like everything they learned in church, they just throw out the door and go back to school. Some of them. But what if God really just appeared to them in like this very powerful way, much like, you know, Peter and Lucy and all the people that went to Narnia. So, but it was all about Jesus, and Jesus gives them, you know, the superpowers while they're there. And I don't know, I really like it, and it's, you know, it's a 7-book series. So
do the marketing. You got a marketing plan, and we're good. All right.
Well, I wanna wrap it up. Silvica, would you be open to give everybody some of your information so they can reach out to you?
Yes, of course. My email address is silvica@silvicarosca.com. So Silvica, it's you probably can see my name actually if you're on the video. It's SILV as in Victor, ICA so then once again my first name, and then Rosca as in Rosca de Reyes, ROSCA.com. That's if you look up that name on Instagram and on LinkedIn and Facebook, that I will pop up, and my website is silvicarosca.com. So feel free to reach out to me.
You're the best.
Thank you very much.
Well, it was a pleasure to talk to all of you guys. Zdanka, you've been quiet. Do you want to say anything, or you'll be just quiet?
I would like to say thank you. I really enjoyed. I just listen, observe, and learn for now.
Okay.
Ooh.
Cool. Yeah.
And
Well,
Zdanka,
thank you for
from
being on
what
the call.
country are you guys, you and Silvica speak the same language or not? I don't remember for now.
Where are you from?
I'm from Romania, but my mom is Slovakian, so I speak Slovak.
Yeah, we speak the same.
Hey,
that's
Slovensky.
Okay,
There we go.
perfect. So you guys have your information, and we'll talk. I don't know if she'll join us or not next week, but we'll talk next week, and we'll have another amazing speaker.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Forward.
Have a
And it's gonna be every Tuesday at that time. I might change it later for another day, but right now it's gonna be Tuesday. Unless I'm gonna have some East Coasters who would wanna really join it, I would have to bump the time. But for now, it's Tuesday at 8 o'clock. That works for me.
Okay.
All right. Have a good one, everyone.
Pick up.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.